Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm your host Anu Khanna, and today I'm joined by Jason Smith from Ocarno. Jason, you're part of a big organization that's a world leader in sustainable habitat. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Anu. As you said, my name's Jason Smith. I'm the managing director of Ocarno, which is a business that distributes construction products throughout the UK. We're part of the Saint-Gobain global organisation. So there's familiar brands across the UK that people might be aware of, such as British Gypsum, Celotex Insulation, and Weber for renders and floorings, for example. And our business generally is about onward distribution of those brands to organizations that probably have less accessibility when buying direct.
Fantastic. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. On your LinkedIn, you have a tagline which says, I don't put things in the heart to drawer. And I was quite intrigued by that. Do you want to tell us what does that exactly mean?
Yeah, I think I learned that with my time during my time here with Ocarno. So when I joined Ocarno, it was known by a more traditional company name. It was known as Artex Limited, which is very much the go-to brand, or was the go-to brand in the 60s, 70s, 80s for texture ceilings and walls. And the business has been around for a very long time, but morphed and changed into something completely different now, as I've just explained. So we myself and my leadership team took the plunge about 18 months ago now to start that process of rebranding the company and positioning it for the future. So I think that's probably one example where I just don't like to leave things that are perhaps a little bit too difficult, put them to the side and focus on other things. I like to get stuck in. I like a good challenge.
Nice. Very good. You like to be challenged. And you have a big team, as you mentioned. You have a leadership team. You have 81 employees in the company. How would you describe your leadership style, or how would they describe your leadership style, Jason?
Yeah, I think my leadership style is either centered or from the back. So I tend to try and position myself amongst the team, and I work very hard on trying to get that balance between collaborative decision making and those moments or those situations where you just need to stand alone and say, this is where we're going and this is what we're going to do. I also quite like the idea of leading from the back and just kind of herding and positioning and allowing people that freedom, and the team the freedom to kind of sort things out amongst themselves.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, fantastic. I'm sure you got some challenges because leadership is not always a smooth journey or smooth ride. So what has been your leadership challenge?
So I think one of the leadership challenges that I encounter is about succession planning, about career progression for people in our organisation. We are quite, as you said, we're about 80 colleagues in total. We run a warehouse operation as well as a front office. We have production packing lines, etc. So it's quite a lean organisation. And then when you're part of a group, there is often that appetite for career-minded individuals to want to move on and progress quickly. I guess part of my challenge is to encourage people or provide them with the training, the guidance, the support, etc., to give them a sense of sticking around, of being able to retain really good people, and being able to demonstrate that there is opportunity of growth for them within the organisation. And that doesn't always mean a change in job title a change in management hierarchy, but actually stretching people and helping them see that as a real benefit.
That's really good. I'm sure it helps in the employee retention and retaining your people as well when you do that. So, what kind of trainings do you normally do? How do you stretch their potential?
So we're very fortunate to be part of a big group. So there is a lot of internal. For example, we have one leadership program which we call the Sangaban University, and that's for invitees, and that's about leadership development and growth. But then outside of that, or in terms of the building blocks towards that, we have our own internal learning platforms, and they'll vary from being quite formal to being quite open. So whether that's accessibility to podcasts of certain areas, the ability to just do bite-sized learning at lunchtime, right the way through to externally provided but fully funded courses in all manner of things. I try and encourage people to see learning as exactly that. So if you're a warehouse operative, for example, not all of your training whilst at an Acano has to be around that operational role. But there could be lots of other things that people want to develop their skills in, and we encourage that.
That's fantastic. It sounds like it's a very structured approach in your organization for training.
We try to give the structure because we've done a lot around people's profiles with insights, for example. So we recognise that people have different ways of wanting to learn and wanting to develop. So there's a structure, but equally there's flexibility within that and variety too.
Right. And what if someone does not want to develop or train and, like status quo, and because not everyone really wants to
Yeah.
progress, and they say, we are happy where we are. I've joined as a warehouse co-worker. This is what I want to be doing. Don't want to progress. How do you handle that kind of situation?
For me, those colleagues are equally important. I mean, in the last few weeks, we've celebrated people having worked here for 20, 25 years, and they've sort of they've stuck with us. We've been through tough times, good times, but there's a loyalty that this organisation builds, and it's really important to have people that want that sense of stability and safeness, and just being able to do what they get paid to do.
Really like that. And it speaks volumes when you say people have been around for 20, 25 years. Yes. So what does it mean to work in Ocarno? What's life of an employee like in Ocarno?
So our vision is we strive to make this a place that people love to work and that our customers love to partner with. And that really is the ethos of our organisation. We One of the challenges we have is where we get a lot of positive intention, where you tend to get some job creep. So people that have knowledge experience will perhaps, rather than going through what would be the right procedures, is actually they kind of step round or step through other people, other things in order to do the right thing, but actually it can have a knock-on effect somewhere else. So we're very conscious of that, but equally we want to make sure that people feel empowered, and that everybody has that opportunity to be listened to. Listening is really important for me and for my leadership team. We have an annual check-in with all our colleagues. It's done globally, the Sangaban survey, and we take that very seriously. We get really good participation rates in the 90 percentile levels. Colleague engagement is very high. Our employee net promoter score, when we ran it in September, was at 62. So it's really positive place to be. But then the challenge with that is to keep it fresh, keep it interesting, keep people engaged. We're constantly trying to not reinvent ourselves, but refresh around the edges, I'd say.
Excellent. You have employees staying for 22 years. Your NPS score is very high. You talk about engagement, motivation. You talk about key listening skills. What other qualities would you attribute from a leadership point of view that you can recommend other business owners, other leaders on how to motivate, grow, and retain people?
I'd say the thing that works for me is around visibility. And it's easy for me to say when we're running a single site operation with 2 shifts. We have a hybrid working environment, so most people are in at least 3 days a week. But it's the visibility, it's being around. So I make sure that I'm seen all over the business. I talk to as many people as I can on a very frequent basis, which I think is really important. I also I make sure that within 3 or 4 months of a new starter joining, I spend some time with them on a one-to-one just to check in and make sure that we're living up to their expectations. So, for me, it's very important when somebody decides to join our organisation that we haven't created any hollow promises, because that leads to short-term challenges, because they get destabilised, they leave, and then you have to go through the recruitment again. So it's important that we do that. And then twice a year, myself and the leadership team bring all new starters through that 6-month window together, and we all have lunch so that they get to spend some time with one another and also with us. So I think accessibility is really important.
Fantastic, really good. This will be watched by hundreds of business owners. So what would your advice be to someone who's just starting up on their leadership journey, who's a new leader, has, leadership team being formed? What would your advice be?
So I rebuilt my leadership team during the time that I've been here. I've been here for 4 years now. And I would say that the key would be to understand the characteristics that you need rather than just the job profile. So not to be quite task focused, but actually what's the voice of the organization, what's the language that we're using, what is it that we're seeking to achieve, and try and find that balance. You need some people that just want to get on. You need some people that like to reflect. So finding the right balances and not being just driven purely by the individuals and their past experiences or capabilities.
Wow, there's some golden nuggets there, Jason.
I hope so.
No, most definitely. And I'm sure everyone who's watching has picked up these golden nuggets. And I would like to thank you on behalf of everyone's listening for sharing your insights into the leadership and how you have grown your leadership organization in the company. So thank you very much for joining us, Jason, today.
No problem. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.